Percy Jackson.
Yes.
This show is very, very quickly becoming one of my favourite things we've talked about. I'm
It is
really
very
enjoying
good.
it. It's very, very good. And I don't know if it's helping or hurting that I remember the first film so vividly. Because part of me is like, oh, I remember this part of that film. I quite liked that. And then they're doing it better every time. And I'm like, oh, this is really cool. But at the same time, I know the broad strokes of what's happening. So I don't get to be really surprised by anything. But still very much enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I haven't seen, I don't remember the film if I have some bits of it. So a lot of this is very new to me, and I'm enjoying. I'm just enjoying how they seem to be telling a story and going off the reception on social media. It's a much better portrayal of the books than what has previously been
Yeah.
done.
I think the big thing is always, I think as a general rule, books that are this like long turned into
Mm.
TV shows are always going to allow for more faithful adaptation than a film would.
Yep.
But also, Rick Riordan, the writer, wasn't happy with the films. He
Mm.
felt they cut out a lot of important stuff, and he's actively working on the TV show.
Hmm.
So he's helping in the writer's room to adapt it from the book to the screen, which is,
Yeah.
again, going to mean anything that they're like, okay, we need to cut a little bit out here. He's like, okay, you can cut that. That's not important. This has to happen this way, though.
Yeah.
Which I think is, again, for people who enjoyed the books a lot and have read the books, they're going to be like, right, we know we're getting the stuff that really matters, and anything else is just kind of, we can afford to lose.
Yeah. I have to say, obviously, I don't know if the films did it this way, but I really enjoyed the way they portrayed Medusa.
Yeah, the film did that completely differently.
I really
Completely
liked
differently.
this, like, as a
There
portrayal of
was
Medusa.
there was no real bargaining
Right.
with Medusa. There was no kind of depth to her character. It was just, oh, this is Medusa. You know, Medusa, she's evil. Or at least that's how I remember it and how I interpreted it as a child. Um, Whereas this was a lot more interesting. They also changed how she died.
Right.
So in the film, Annabeth didn't have the cap from her mother,
Hmm.
and Medusa just used sunglasses.
Right. Okay.
So once they cut off her head, they just had the sunglasses on her head.
Got you.
They didn't get chased by a wraith into Medusa's layout.
Right.
And this is the only bit I prefer in the film.
Oh.
Instead of using the hat, because obviously they didn't have the hat to cut off her head,
Hmm.
he used the reflection of an iPod Touch to see her around the corner,
Got you.
which I think is one of the greatest pieces of product placement
Yeah.
ever. Because that has stuck with me like 10 years, and I still think about it. And like, that is one thing that I'm like, I kind of liked that. Because it's like a modern retelling. He's named after Perseus, who killed Medusa in the
Yeah.
mythology. And he obviously used the shield to catch her reflection in that. And he was just like, iPod. But
Yeah.
overall, it was a much, much better adaptation of it all. And Ferdinand was used a lot more better as like a plot device in this.
Yeah. I don't
So like
really
in the film, they
know where
turn
that's
up
going.
at her thing, and they didn't make any notion of it being a satyr
Right. Okay.
in the film. It was just, oh, we're here, this is a place.
Yeah.
And as they're going in, they see all these gnomes because they think it's just a legitimate shop.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, that kind of looks like my Uncle Ferdinand.
Right.
And then you get the Medusa. He's like, oh my god, it actually was my Uncle Ferdinand. But like, he doesn't really seem to care.
Got you.
Or in this one, he's like, oh, my Uncle Ferdinand came along this satyr path.
Yeah.
And then you see Medusa's layout, and then he sees his uncle, and it's like, wow, my uncle was like a hero to us for being an explorer, and now I've already got as far as he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the TV show is just adding so much more depth that previously I didn't get to appreciate, and it's one of them shows that I can't wait for next Wednesday.
Yeah. No mood. I'm looking forward to like the next episode each time.
Yeah,
And
exactly. It's exactly that.
intrigued, like, because obviously I'm kind of going blind into all this. So it's obviously like
Yeah.
intrigued to see what the fallout of him sending the Medusa head is, how that plays out to them. Um, and then obviously now that he's kind of come clean about, they've all kind of come clean to each other a bit about their worries and concerns and different things. Hopefully now, like going forward, they have a stronger team. I
Also, go on.
well, I was gonna say the whole tree thing at the beginning. Uh, I thought it was kind of funny. His whole line about oh she took an acorn's fate. But I saw some
I
people were pissed on the internet. I
Oh,
saw.
really?
Well, I saw
Oh,
something which was like so obviously probably people that maybe haven't read the books or something like, oh Percy was such a dick with his comments, and it's
is
like,
it? Let's be completely clear here. Percy's a like 14-year-old boy whose mother's been stolen by Hades.
mhm,
His absentee father has now put him on this quest of you have to die or find this very dangerous thing. He's entitled to be a little bit of a dick.
yeah. He also is very new to this.
Yeah.
Like I think the people that have obviously had made those comments, like one obviously haven't read the books, and two aren't kind of appreciating his point of view in this situation.
Yeah. I was a dick at 14 and I didn't have to worry about any of the stuff Percy has to worry about.
Uh,
Um
but yeah, I mean, I'm
the the one thing I really will say, and this was like where I realized just how much better this is going to be than the film.
okay.
The Converse that Luke gave him, the design
Mm.
in this is so much better than the one in the film.
Oh, is it really
The one
cheap?
in the film just literally had like ankle, like the wings that like a cherub would have.
Yeah.
It literally just kind of had them on the back of it.
Oh,
Whereas this one, it's got the whole thing where like the laces like
yeah.
flow into a wing, and I'm like, okay, they look
Yeah,
sick.
they spent a bit more on VFX.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
will say, like, it was a bit. I didn't hate how they did it, but the whole thing with the Medusa head being invisible and then having them to have to hold it, it just looked a little awkward.
It's
It's like, oh yes, I'm definitely holding a head covered in snakes.
I think that was some good old fashioned acting being done. I think they did a
Oh
good
yeah,
job. I'd rather there be a little bit of goofiness of a kid pretending to hold something than them giving him like a green ball so that he's actually
oh
holding something they can edit out.
yeah. No, I don't think. I think it would have been way more work for them that wouldn't be worth it. But like, it was one of those where I'm like, it just feels a little awkward because he's
Yeah,
like walking around like
for sure.
this, and it's like, I know you're not holding anything, but
What I will say is the very beginning of the episode felt a bit jumpy with like them couple of scenes where he's like all straight away in with the Oracle and then jumps to the
yes,
ceremony. It felt like a weird editing decision that they very quickly moved away from, but didn't revert the decision earlier.
yeah, it's kind of like they needed to set up the little oracle thing saying one of your friends is going to betray you. They had to do the whole he picked someone to go on a quest. Let's get the quest started. They tried to do that very quick to get the quest going. I think you're right. It could have all it needed really was like a scene where he's told to go see the oracle,
Yeah,
and I think that would have made it feel like less of a jump in.
I think yeah, if they go from like literally take off from the end of the last episode where Grover comes in and says, "Oh, your mum's alive. She's with Hades."
Mm,
Just have him still be there and go, right, you need to go talk to the Oracle in the morning,
mhm.
and then just have it be the next morning and he gets up and he goes to speak to the Oracle.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you, but that is like proper nitpicky. But it's nice to have a show where we can be that nitpicky and we
yeah.
still sit here and go, it's been great. So
Oh yeah, small thing like that, but still overall great episode.
yeah,